All right. Basically, what today we wanted to go through is just to go through the basics of the Square Credit Card Reader program, how it works, and really how to use the Square Credit Card Reader. Um, so I don't want to take a real long time, but I want to go over just a couple of the facts um, and sort of how things work. Really the purpose of the presentation today is just what I said. We're going to go through how the Square Credit Card program works. What are the different parts of it? What do you as a kernel need to know? Um, and then how to sign up if you haven't signed up yet. And then how the actual Square device works. And then how to actually take a credit card sale using the device. So it's pretty neat what we've experienced in the last couple of years. This, I think, is our third year in using the Square Credit Card program, and each year we've seen great growth in the number of dollars that are actually being spent on the credit card. Sort of where the program started is several years ago. We just got multiple units that were saying, hey, we're set up for a show and sell, or we're set up for Wagon Dragon, and we're out there. And one of the common comments that folks are making is, I don't carry cash, I'm sorry, I can't help you out. Well, this helps to solve that. One of the great things about the Square Credit Card Reader is that it's recognized in a lot of different places. I was recently at a craft show, and just about every place that took credit cards had a Square Reader of some sort. It's well known, people recognize it, people trust it, and it makes sense for us to use it as part of our program. So some things to know is it does allow units to use credit cards and we're telling units really just to use it for popcorn and candy sales, or if units also use it for camp card sales in the spring. But it's important that you don't use it for sort of your everyday sales or turning money into the unit, because one of the things as we look at bullet point number 3 is all the dollars that are used, or all the dollars are collected, are deposited directly into the council bank account. And I'll talk about that just a little bit more here in a moment. But what happens is that when a unit's interested, they essentially become a mobile staff member of the Pennsylvania Dutch Council. And how this relates to the third bullet point is that the Pennsylvania Dutch Council has the overall Square credit card account. And each unit is sort of a staff member on that account. And then what happens is that we track that then by unit, so we know how much is coming back to your unit specifically. So when we ask for the sign up, and I'll go through that here in just a moment, is that we need that information to distinguish you from the other units. So one of the points here that's important to make as we go forward in the coming years with Square, and I know as more and more kernels use it, is that if you were a kernel last year with a pack and are now a kernel with a troop, you want to make sure that you let me know that you've switched, so that we can make sure that we change your tag. We don't necessarily want to give credit to the wrong unit. So that's an important thing as we go forward here. A couple other things about the program is that for each transaction there's a 2.75% fee, which is pretty standard for any kind of credit card transaction. There is a fee that's assessed. And then what we do is that we split that fee between the unit and the council. So that 2.75, the council eats, if you will, 1.375% of that, and the unit does the same. So kind of where does that go? Is in order to get set up with the program, you can visit the PA Dutch Council website, and there is a link there to sign up electronically, or you can submit the hard copy of the credit card registration form that should have been in the program packets that we did at the popcorn launch, or there's the electronic form is online, or the hard copy of the form is online as well, that you can download and send in or email in. As you're getting registered, one of the things with the Square Reader is that the Square Reader that you see pictured on your screen there on the right is a complicated but very simple device. In the sense that it's simple is that the device is not assigned specific to any ID. Where the ID comes in is really from the app that you download onto your phone or onto your device. The Square Reader just enables the credit card to be read. So if you have a Square credit card reader that you've used from somewhere else, or that you have for somewhere else, it's not linked to anything. So one of the things that it allows us to do is it allows us to pretty much give this credit card reader to just about anyone. So any parent, so if you've got a show and sell set up and you have someone there from 8 to 10 and then 10 to 12, basically that parent can just hand off the Square device to the next parent, and they don't have to do anything special. Each parent doesn't have to have their own device. Where this is important in talking about in the registration process is as you're getting registered, one of the things that we recommend is that you come up with an email and a password that can be used between folks, so that you can share between folks. Some packs have, or troops have, a unit email address, a Gmail account or a Scoutlander extension, that they can set the email up, and then give that password from parent to parent and go from there. I would recommend as you get that set up, if you're intending to be able to have that functionality to share it, is to set an email and a password up that you feel comfortable sharing with other folks. So that next step then is like I said, we've got the reader. That's part of how this works. And the next step is the device. So really any smartphone or tablet device that can connect to the internet, either through a cellular plan or through Wi-Fi, can use a Square device. The Square device plugs into the headphone jack, and once it's plugged in, the phone will read it. There is a list, if you go to Square's website, if you've got an older phone and you're not sure if it's going to work, there is a list on the Square website of all the devices that are supported through Square and can be used. We're going to go in here in just a moment and show how everything looks, but that's one of the things that makes this easy to use, is that as many folks have smartphones or devices, you can easily pass that from one person to the next. It's certainly better to use a smartphone in the sense if that's your only way to connect to the internet. What the system will do is they will do an offline mode that you can use. So if you've got an iPad or something that you want to use, you can operate in an offline mode where it will check everything. However, you've got to make sure that that device then connects to Wi-Fi at some point in order to upload all of the data and send the information that we're going to talk about here as we go through the actual sale process. To get registered, simply we need the name of the person who's going to be the responsible person for the account. Whatever email address was to be set up for, or the email address you want to use to set everything up. Actually, you'll get email from us once we have the information and put it into the system to set up your password, so we don't need to know that. And then we need to know your unit number again so that we can make sure that the funds get credited to the correct unit. So moving forward, so navigating the Square device. So if you look at this, these are some screenshots from my phone and how we've got things set up. So if you look there sort of on, I've got the icons on the screen there, where it says register, that Square logo, that's where you're going to start. Is you're going to click on that, and then it's going to prompt you for a login. and you're going to want to use that email address and password that we used to set up the account. Once you get logged in, you're going to have the opportunity to, or you're going to have really 4 menu items. You're going to have the register, which is where you take and is the starting point for all of your sales. You're going to have the activity section, which tracks your sales. A spot for settings, which you shouldn't have to mess with too terribly in setting up your sale. And then a help section to answer some frequently asked questions that you might have, or any issues that you might have in getting your device to work. So we're going to look at these a little bit closer. But before we do that, one of the things to note is when you plug your reader in, whether you plug it in before you log into the app or once you're into the app, you plug it in. This is the message that will pop up. It will show that the reader is connected and that it's ready to swipe cards. So you want to make sure that you've seen this when you connect the reader to your phone, because that verifies that everything's ready to go. So when you click on talking about those 4 sort of menu items, the very first item is the register. The register probably looks very similar to your calculator on your phone, but it's pretty simple. Up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see on this picture, there's a little number 3 with those lines. That takes you back to the menu picture that we saw a couple slides ago. So if you need to get back and navigate those different options, that's how you do that. You'll see your charge button, and that's going to be your final step once you get through the transaction or get ready to finish the transaction. There's a note section. We'll come back to that later if you choose to use it. There's your keypad, your standard keypad, and then down at the bottom of the keypad there are 2 icons. You'll see that the white icon, or the icon that's in white, sort of mirrors what you're seeing there with the register. So that's the register icon. The second icon is actually item view, and if you click on that or on your phone, what it will do is it will change and it will bring these things up. And right now you're just seeing the 14 popcorn items, but the 15 ones will be in there shortly before you guys go start doing any of your show and sell orders. But you'll see here is that you've got 2 listings. You've got the 2000 and what will be 15 popcorn and take order, which lists all the products for take order, and then the show and sell, which will list all the products for show and sell. And it's pretty handy because once you go and you can place an order, you don't have to type things in. You can actually keep track of what products you sold during the sale. So we talked a little bit about that's the register screen. So through the navigation, you've also got the activity screen. So what this does is this shows all of your transactions on your Square device and when they happened. So actually, when I say device, I really mean your account. So as you go back through, you can see on this account that there were 3 no sales in those 2 dates in June. So imagine somebody was trying or making sure that their device was working. But if you go back to the June 7th date, that was a time where we were running an event, and folks were paying their registration for the event right through there. So it's a handy piece that you can go back through and you can look at this. I know some folks have been concerned about what is available to see from these previous activities. When you click on this, actually what you see is that you see what was the transaction, so the dollar figure it was. You'll see what was the medium that was used, so was it a credit card, what type of credit card it was, and then you'll see a reference number for the sale. But none of the credit card numbers are actually stored on the phone, so it's not something that anyone in the unit can go back and get. So there's no personal information that's going to stay there or be easily accessed. The other piece on the navigation screen or that initial menu was the settings section. You shouldn't really have to mess with your settings at all. Each of the mobile staff, when you're registered as a mobile staff person, all of the settings are automatically generated. The only thing that you really might want to look at is if you're going to allow your unit to work offline. There's an option there that allows you to set offline mode on or off. So that's up to you as you're going through, but like I said, you want to make sure anyone who's using that device is going to be able to log back online so that those transactions can actually be processed. So moving forward, I'm going to go through actually taking an order. So essentially the screen that I'm at right now is I've already gone in through the main screen of the login. I've gone to the register, and at the bottom of the register page I've clicked on the item view. And when I was in the item, I clicked on the very first thing, which was the popcorn and candy take order. So what this does is it lists all the products in the take order. So right now I've got it set up. You'll see that the check mark is on a $50 military donation. So if the person we're taking an order from right now is doing the $50 military donation, we're going to simply up in that right hand corner click on add. And it's going to essentially, like any online shopping, is going to add it to your cart. If they're making multiple purchases, you just come back in the same way and add the next product until you have their entire order. So once you have their entire order, you're going to be able to kind of go into a cart just like this, and it's going to list all the products and it's going to calculate everything for you. Now, some units in the past, before we started putting this information into the order, just did the tally on their own, didn't actually put the product in, and said, you know, they're getting the 18-pack Unbelievable Butter, which is $18, excuse me, and then they're going to get the $10 caramel corn, so it's $10, so it's $28, so they just put in $28. This is a little bit nicer in the sense that it does itemize things, and when the person, if they want a receipt, gets the receipt, can see what they actually purchased, and you as your unit can keep track of what was purchased through the credit card. So this is what the cart looks like. Next, once you've got the cart done, you'll be able to go into the checkout option. So when we go back, and actually I'll click back here a couple slides, so bear with me in just a second here. So once you're ready to go, this blue box that you're seeing that says charge will actually have the full amount of what you want to run, and you're going to simply click the charge button. And once you do that, it's going to take you to this screen, or it's going to prompt you to go ahead and swipe the card. So once you hit charge, you don't actually have to click on any of these other pieces. You can actually go ahead and swipe the card and get started. You can manually enter a card if your reader's not working or if it's not reading a card, but just know that the transaction fee is a little bit higher for a manually entered card as opposed to one that's swiped. You can actually also split tender on these. So if someone gives you cash or gives you check, you can split the tender. So if they want to use credit card for $10 of it, and you're going to use cash for the other $10, you certainly can do that, and you can indicate that through this piece. If you really want to track all of your sales, you can run all of your sales through the Square Reader. The only problem with that is if you're pretty busy, it can be pretty cumbersome to try to do all of that, as opposed to just trying to keep up with your credit card sales. A couple other items to know about when taking an order. I talked a little bit earlier about the notes feature. What some folks have been using the notes feature for is trying to help keep track of which scouts are actually taking the transaction. So if you're giving a reader out to, or scouts are out using it, during a Wagon Dragon or at a show and sell, and you want to make sure that you know which scouts sold it. In the notes field, you simply can click on the notes, which you look there on the screen on the left. Under the charge button, you just simply click on the notes, and then you get the screen that comes up on the right. You can indicate the scout or the parent or whoever did it, and go from there, so that when you actually go back and check on the information or check on the activity, you'll be able to see that information. I've had a couple of people ask about refunds. The mobile staff members are not allowed to do a refund. So if someone changes their mind and picks up a popcorn product, uses a credit card, and then wants the money back, what you're going to have to do is you'll have to contact me here at the Pennsylvania Dutch Council, and I can issue the refund, but the mobile staff users cannot issue the refund. So just something to be aware of there. Also, my screenshots don't take you through the signing portion or the receipt portion of the order, but after you've swiped the credit card, they'll be prompted to have the person actually sign. And people can simply sign with their finger on the screen. It doesn't have to be, absolutely perfect, but definitely showing that the person who placed the order is the person who is using the credit card. But you can do that signing, and then to be prompted if someone wants to receive a receipt afterwards. And since there's really no printing capability, those receipts will be emailed to them, and they'll be asked to enter an email address, or you'll be prompted to enter an email address on their behalf, so that they can get that email, that receipt sent directly to them. So, really quickly, that's kind of how the credit card program works. We went real briefly through how you sign up, and how you run through a transaction. So for the most part, I think it's pretty straightforward. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn off the recording here and then take any questions that you